Hi everyone. So I just wanted to come here and give a little bit of an update. Essentially, I can't seem to sit down and talk about anything for less than 3 to 5 minutes. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using YouTube as my main platform. I will probably chop videos up and place little edits on my social media. But I do feel like the majority of my value is going to be driven on YouTube because obviously you can watch the whole video in full. Today, I wanted to talk about process versus outcome and how we as human beings are generally very focused on the results that we create. So let's just start there, right? It obviously makes sense, of course. We're all in this process of co-creation and delivering on the results that we're trying to achieve. And obviously, in any industry, you want the best people going to the best positions that they can get into to create the best products, deliver the best services, so that we can have this constant evolution and improvement of whatever it is that we're working on. And you just look at human history and we can see that in all these different fields. So we're naturally in this process of what I would call co-evolution. We're co-creating with each other and we're constantly evolving to improve in a multitude of different ways. This process is what drives us to believe that results are all that matter. And whilst they do matter, especially in the sense of when you have to be responsible for what you're delivering, for example, you can't have a structural engineer go and design a bridge and the bridge isn't structurally sound upon completion because there were design flaws in the engineer's work and in his calculations, right? That could be catastrophic and that could result in loss of life and all these other issues, right? So of course, results are important. I'm not going to tell you they're not. And it's really difficult to convince your brain in the moment that they're not. But what I want to offer to you is this idea that process and a focus on the process itself is what is going to align you most optimally to create the actual result you're looking for. Now, you probably know this. If you're going into an exam, let's take a high school student who's going in to do their GCSEs or their equivalent. If all they're worried about, and I say worry, all they're thinking about is whether or not they're going to pass the exam, they're focusing on the outcome of that exam. And that can induce states of anxiety, hence the worrying, and it can induce states of fear. What if they don't get the grade that they need in order to go to the university they want to go to, right? And basically what it's doing is pulling you out of the moment, right? Because you're worrying about the results, you're thinking about the outcome rather than the process of what it is you have to do, right? Which in this case, for the student, would be thinking about the topics that could come up or whatever it is. Now, of course, there's the pressure and people struggle in different ways with regards to this. But let's just shift the example and look at sports players. Now, this goes across industry. This is the same for entrepreneurs. This is the same for the top salespeople in a company, basketball players, golfers, swimmers, you name it. Generally, because you have freak cases where the number one person is just has this like weird advantage in all these different ways. But generally, and I want to take sport because this highlights the difference between the physiology and the psychology, the mental framework and the body function. So let's take the top basketball players, okay? So if you've got 20 of the best basketball players in the world and they're in practice and they're looking to make 20 free throws in a row, all of them have trained for long enough and they will all have the muscle memory and the same level of skill technically and physiologically to make those shots 20 times in a row. You can bet your bottom dollar that they'll all be able to do that with no problem. This means that at a physiological level and mentally, the connection between the brain and the mind means they have the muscle memory and the understanding of how to take that ball and put it in the hoop over and over again. Okay? So they have the skill. But now let's take those same 20 people, place them in a high stakes environment where they now have to make that same shot with the pressure of the crowd. And maybe let's say it's a final, right? And this is the winning point to win a championship game or to qualify for a tournament, whatever it is. The pressure, the stress, all of the feelings and the emotions that that individual is going to be experiencing in that moment is the difference. And so it's the psychological and mental framework that these individual 20 players hold that's going to set them apart from each other. And so what you see is that the best people in their fields just have learned how to think differently from the rest when the pressure's on. And even if we take a different example and there's no aggressive, obvious pressure, it still almost always comes down to the way you think and the way you've taught yourself to think in the circumstance that you're involved in. With that then, you might ask, well, Kane, what is this difference? The best players have learned to align their focus into every now moment. This is what these players, those who become the best at what they do, they understand that it's the focus on the process of making high quality decisions that is going to create the outcome that they're looking for. Now, if I'm just focused on the outcome, because I'm so results orientated, that's what can pull me away from the moment. If we can say, and Joe Dispenza has laid this out very clearly, that where you place your attention is where your energy goes. So they're interlinked. So where I place my awareness is where my energy will flow. Okay? So if I'm focused on the results, and as I go to take that buzzer shot, I think, oh, what if I miss? Or I'm super cocky and I'm like, oh, I've got this. Like, this is gonna be easy, you know? Because maybe you're in a euphoric state of mind because you've been playing so well throughout the game. What happens is an element, a percentage of your awareness and your attention isn't in the moment. It's been diverted, where you're maybe worrying or you're excited about the future, or maybe you've made previous mistakes and you've missed this shot before, and so a memory flashes back to you of the time you last had this shot and you missed it, and so you're then worried about the past. So what's happening is the awareness of your consciousness is being diverted out of the moment, and you've now put a percentage of it into worrying about the past and reliving the past, or maybe being worried or excited about the future. Both are equally damaging, by the way, for different reasons. But recognize that what makes the difference is accepting that the outcome is just going to take care of itself. If I focus as all of my attention and my energy on the process behind making high quality decisions in every moment that I can, if I can keep my attention on that game, then the outcome will always take care of itself. And actually, by surrendering to the moment, I open myself up to making the highest quality decision I can. It's through the surrendering that actually allows you to make the highest quality decision that you can, because you're not trapping your expression. You're not limiting yourself through fear or even excitement. Now, of course, excitement is a much higher vibration emotion to work with, and so it's less limiting. But it's really, I just want to drive this point home, that it's through the surrender that opens up your mind and allows you to be present make the best decision that you can. And so if we continue with the example of the basketball player, he has to take the ball, he has to see the clock, he knows he has to jump within a certain period of time, he has to throw the shot, he has to keep his eye on the ball, eye on the backboard and the rim. There's a series of micro decisions that occur, and they often occur very subconsciously. And once again, it's through this process of making these micro decisions in the best possible way that this person can, which is going to create the outcome they're looking for. So always, in any given moment, whatever you're working on, whatever you're doing, try and sit and reframe what it is you're doing. And the way I like to do this is just by sitting down. If I hit a crossroads, we all hit these different crossroads, whether it's in your work life, you're navigating your intimate relationships, maybe you're trying to work through dealings with your family, whatever the case may be, this can show up in a variety of different ways. You want to sit down and ask yourself, what's important right now? What can I do right now that's going to move the needle in my direction, right? And really, that's all the outcome is. The outcome is your needle. It's your compass pointing to where you want to go. That's what you're looking for. But I'm telling you, if you really want to get there, don't focus on it. Focus on the process of making the best decisions you can. So, what I like to do is close my eyes, take a deep breath, what I'm allowing myself to do is to fall into the present moment, because your breath is an anchor. I cannot be focused on my inhale and subsequent exhale and simultaneously be worrying about what happened yesterday or thinking anxiously about what might happen tomorrow. It's impossible. Where you place your awareness is where your energy flows. So if I focus on that breath, I essentially force my awareness into the present moment. And now that I'm in the present moment, and this will take some practice, for me now, I'm at this point where my mind becomes very still very quickly because I've been meditating for almost a year, and I've built this skill, right? Initially, it might very much be the case that you've got quite a lot of brain fog, and you've got a lot of noise in your mind, and that's okay. We're going to do another video on meditation. We're not here to touch on that today. But yes, just to simply express what I'm trying to say here, breathe in, breathe out. Feel the presence in the moment, and then listen to your inner self. We all have that little voice, that angel on the shoulder, that's trying to tell us the best thing that we can be doing. And I know you've all faced that when you've been at a crossroads and you're really tempted to make a decision that you know is not good for you. And it can be as simple as opening the fridge and seeing a bar of chocolate, and you already told yourself earlier today that you weren't going to eat anymore. And you're looking at it and you've got like 10 voices going, go on, it's all right, blah, blah, blah. You know the story. But we've always got that one internal voice that is really looking out for us. That's our higher self. It's our inner self that's trying to guide us. So sit in that now moment and just ask your inner self, what's next? What's important right now? Show me what's important right now, this moment. And when that comes to you, write it down and focus on that for the next half an hour. It will be very self-evident what you're supposed to do. Now, I just want to tie in, obviously, I say obviously, maybe not so obvious, but this existing in the moment has been this isn't anything very profound, right? It is profound when you experientially understand it. The ancient Zen traditions have talked about, and whether it's Buddha, even Jesus Christ, all these different ascended masters have talked about surrendering to the moment. And so the great Lao Tzu, he was a legendary Chinese philosopher who was the founder of Taoism. He famously said that a good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent on arriving. What Lao Tzu is reminding us of here is to simply surrender to the outcome. If the traveler's not intent on arriving, I mean, it's almost a paradox because he's traveling. Well, why is he traveling? He's trying to get to a destination. He's trying to arrive. That's what the words are telling you. But the important thing here is that we're being asked to not necessarily have fixed plans and to not be intent on arriving. And the not having fixed plans is really quite beautiful because life's obviously full of twists and turns, and when you become so hyper focused on the how you're going to get there, each step is all laid out. Maybe that's how you are, you're very organized. Often that keeps you focused on the future, and once again you're limiting your awareness in the moment, because if you're present in the moment, then the how will carve its own path for you, and you'll receive insights that if you're open to, you can receive and can be better than you had previously. But if your plans are extremely fixed, you're limiting your information. Your awareness is just narrowed into this stream of consciousness. So anything that's potentially going to come in from the outside, you might not see, and that can slow you down. So I think Lao Tzu here is obviously, number one, reminding us to drop attachments to the outcome and to do our best to live in the flow so that we can receive new information to help guide us most efficiently on our journey. And secondly, just recognize that this obsession that many of us have with regards to the outcomes, with whatever it is we're trying to achieve, often just disrupts the very harmonic and harmonious flow that we can often find ourselves in when we're truly present in the moment. And this only slows down our path at the end of the day. So even if you're super competitive and you're really driven to succeed, recognize that if I can shift my focus to identify where I am right now in the process and what's the next best decision I can make, and just keep reiterating between those two things, you will find your journey towards your destination to be a lot smoother. So I hope this was helpful. If any of this resonated with you, please drop a like, drop a comment, and feel free to subscribe if you'd like to learn more. Till next time.